National Cup Championship bound, baby! Woo! Big love, baby! Woo! Here, man. It got a little crazy out there, but we made it through.
We're gonna keep stacking the day, so see you in the championship.
Bow, bow, bow! Let's go!
June 17th wasn't just another game, it was payback, plain and simple. Flashback to May 30th. When Jacy Sheldon and the Connecticut Sun left. Sophie Cunningham and Sydney Colson banged up with no consequences for their dirty plays. But the Indiana Fever didn't forget. So when Sheldon poked Caitlin Clark in the eye during the rematch, something snapped. What happened next was a message loud and clear. Don't mess with Clark's crew. Things got spicy, CC, and Sophie weren't having it. Let's go.
It was chippy the last time these two teams faced off too. Sophie Cunningham suffered her ankle injury in that game, but in addition to that, she actually had part of her front tooth knocked out. She made contact with Jacy Sheldon as Caitlin Clark knocks down the triple.
But what people don't talk about enough is how hard you have to work to be able to be that good. All the hours that she's spent perfecting her craft.
Retreating, firing, and hitting.
So she can do that.
On Indiana arguing the call.
I mean, step back, you're late. She almost looks you in the eye. And
The May 30th matchup between the Indiana Fever and Connecticut Sun started like any other two WNBA teams battling for position. But it didn't take long for things to get out of hand. The Suns' physicality quickly crossed the line from competitive to reckless, and you could feel the tension building from the opening tip. For the Fever, it turned into a nightmare. Everything that could go wrong did.
Can we talk about the physicality for a second? Two players on the Indiana Fever got injured last night by the same player on the Connecticut Sun, and that was Jacy Sheldon. And I tweeted about it. She was playing so reckless. I'm fine with players playing aggressive, but there is a thin line between playing aggressive and playing reckless. When you dive for a ball, you don't land on somebody's leg. She landed on top of Sydney Colson's leg, and her leg got stuck and literally twisted around. Both injuries, both Sydney Colson and Sophie Cunningham, were contact injuries.
Sydney Colson went down after yet another questionable play, leaving fans and players alike wondering what was really happening on the court. The most infuriating part. Jacy Sheldon was at the center of both incidents, playing with a level of aggression that crossed the line. Sophie Cunningham was the first to take the Hita collision that looked anything but accidental. The contact was far too forceful for what should have been a routine basketball moment.
They weren't non-contact. They weren't ACLs. They weren't Achilles. They were contact injuries caused by the same player. And this kind of physicality that the WNBA they brag about. They say it's always been a physical league. That's just the heart of the It's not good basketball. And we've seen so many injuries. Paige Becker's out with a concussion. Rakia Jackson was out with a concussion. All of these injuries are contact plays. We've seen Caitlin Clark last year get chucked to the ground. We saw Angel Reese get clothesline chucked to the ground. The players continue to do it because the refs are allowing them. Why wouldn't you keep doing it if you're a physical player?
This is where the college rivalry comes into play. Jacy Sheldon and Caitlin Clark have a history dating back to their Big Ten battles, so Ohio State versus Iowa. Every time they faced off, Sheldon made it her mission to rattle Clark, shadowing her on defense, bumping into her on screens, and talking trash during stoppages. This wasn't just basketball anymore. It was personal.
Her mortal enemy. Her mortal enemy took out a player. Jacy Sheldon. Caitlin Clark's mortal enemy. Jacy Sheldon.
The referees on May 30th seemed to be watching a completely different game. While the Indiana Fever battled hard in a narrow 85-83 loss, the real damage wasn't on the scoreboard. It was in the injuries that could have been prevented. Sydney Colson and Sophie Cunningham both went down, and their absence would haunt the team in the games that followed. Hard fouls were ignored, dangerous plays went unchecked, and officials let things spiral out of control. Caitlin Clark could only watch as her teammates took the hits, while Jacy Sheldon walked away without so much as a warning.
This is a reckless play. This is reckless. It is dangerous. And this angle makes it look even worse. It is dangerous. Like, Sid Colson is between her and the ball. Sid Colson is, in fact, between Jacy Sheldon and the ball, and she dives through her knee. It wasn't even called as a foul. It wasn't even called as a foul.
The Fever weren't about to forget that game who caused the injuries and how the officials let it all slide. You could see it in Caitlin Clark's eyes after the loss, the look she gave Jacy Sheldon in the handshake line, and the edge in her voice during the post-game interview. June 17th couldn't come fast enough. After missing 3 weeks with a quad injury, Clark returned with a statement win over the previously unbeaten New York Liberty. Wow. In just her second game back, she was facing the Connecticut Sun again. From the way she stepped onto the court, it was clear she remembered everything about that last encounter.
So, she just texts me. She never texts me during the game.
All right. Here is Clark splashing home a three from way downtown. Kelly escorting her back to the bench.
Jacy Sheldon is there with her hand in her face.
Sheldon is guarding Clark like her life depends on it staying uncomfortably close, shadowing her every move, bumping her on screens, and doing all the little things that turn basketball into a battle. It's the same aggressive style that left Sophie Cunningham and Sydney Colson injured back in May, and everyone in the arena can feel the tension building. Something is about to go down.
And Caitlin Clark are talking to the official. They're both going at it, saying, hey, oh, there's a little extra right there. Uh-oh. Then Marina steps in to protect JC.
As the third quarter kicks off, Clark brings the ball up the court with Sheldon closing in to defend. What looks like a steal attempt turns ugly. Sheldon's finger goes straight into Clark's eye. The contact is immediate and unmistakable, and Clark's head jerks back from the impact, the pain written all over her face.
Third quarter we go. They're trailing by 10. Keep an eye on her and Jacy Sheldon. Clark trying to back her down.
Clark is okay.
Sheldon, that was Clark, hitting her in the face. Clark is upset about that. Then everybody's upset about that. Marina Mabrey comes in. She decks Clark, tempers flaring on both sides.
Clark immediately grabs her face, and as the reality of what just happened sinks in, you can see the pain and fury collide. She's squinting, trying to regain her vision, but it's clear her mind is racing with more than just the sting in her. This wasn't just a random incident. It was the same player who had already taken out 2 of her teammates, now targeting her with the same dirty tactics that had gone unchecked. Then Clark does what any fierce competitor would. She shoves Sheldon away after the eye poke. A natural reaction anyone would have in that moment. The contact was obvious, the intent clear, but just when the crowd expects justice, the refs step in and somehow make it worse.
I mean, is that displacement? I think it is.
Oh, and Marina Mabrey's going to get ejected. If the officials saw that, Marina Mabrey is going to get ejected.
Well, they're going to go and look at it. Look at Mabrey. She's got a scar on one side, a scratch on one side of her face, a scratch on the other side. It's not from the game today. I asked her about it. She's always in the mix. There's a lot of contact here. There's a scrape across the face. That's what Clark didn't like.
As Clark stands clutching her eye, clearly the victim of a dangerous play, officials reach for their whistles. The crowd erupts in confusion and anger, pointing at the replay screens that clearly show the eye poke that started it all. But the refs had already made up their minds. In a baffling decision, they hit Clark with a technical foul for pushing back after being poked in the eye, simply defending herself. The call made 0 sense. Clark had just dropped 32 points in her first game back from injury, only to be penalized for reacting to a blatant foul by the same player who had already injured 2 of her teammates. It sent the worst possible message. Targeting Clark with dangerous plays goes unchecked. But if she stands up for herself, she pays the price. And just when you thought it couldn't get more heated, Marina Mabrey, watching everything unfold, decided it was time to take things up another level.